In the vast expanse of the galaxy, where stars whispered secrets to one another and nebulae painted the void with ethereal colors, humanity had long been dismissed as a primitive curiosity. The Galactic Concord, a sprawling alliance of alien species, viewed Earthlings as fragile upstarts, creatures bound by their biology, their emotions, and their relentless drive to conquer what they could not understand. But, on the fringes of known space, in the shadowed corridors of the derelict station known as Epsilon Outpost, a single human would rewrite that narrative. His name was Elias Thorne, a former soldier turned scavenger, haunted by the ghosts of his past failures. He had come to this forsaken place not for glory, but for redemption, driven by the unyielding truth etched into his soul: the man who destroys his weak self can never be destroyed by others. The outpost orbited a dying gas giant, its hull scarred by micrometeorites and the remnants of ancient battles. Elias docked his battered shuttle, the Iron Will, with a practiced hand, the engines humming a low dirge as they powered down. He was alone, as always, his crew long scattered by the wars that had ravaged the colonies. At 38, his body bore the marks of survival, a cybernetic arm replacing the one lost in a plasma blast, scars crisscrossing his torso like a map of forgotten skirmishes, and eyes that held the cold fire of a man who had stared into the abyss too many times. He stepped into the station's airlock, the hiss of pressurization echoing like a warning. The air was stale, laced with the metallic tang of recycled oxygen, and the gravity generators hummed unevenly, pulling at his boots. Sensors on his suit pinged faintly, life signs detected, but erratic. Not human. Alien. The Concorde had abandoned this outpost years ago after a raid by the Zorath, a nomadic species known for their psychic prowess and their peculiar brood cycles. Zorath infants, rare and revered, emitted psionic cries that could shatter minds or summon swarms of their kin. Elias had heard tales, entire crews driven mad by the wail of a single Zorath child. He gripped his pulse rifle tighter, the weapon's grip molded to his palm from years of use. Weakness had no place here. He had learned that the hard way, back on Terra Nova, where hesitation had cost him his squad. No more. He had forged himself anew in the fires of isolation, training until his muscles screamed, meditating until his doubts crumbled. The weak self was dead, only the unbreakable remained. As he ventured deeper, the corridors grew dimmer, emergency lights flickering like dying stars. Strange symbols adorned the walls, Zorath script, swirling patterns that seemed to shift when he wasn't looking. A low hum vibrated through the deck plating, growing into a rhythmic pulse. Then, it hit him. A cry. Not audible, but psychic, burrowing into his skull like icy needles. It was the wail of a Zorath infant, a desperate, all-encompassing plea that could bend reality itself. Elias staggered, his vision blurring as memories flooded in, his failures, his losses, the faces of the dead accusing him. But he pushed back. He had trained for this, not with weapons, but with will. In the silence of his ship, he had confronted his inner demons, destroying the fragile parts of himself piece by piece. Doubt. Crushed. Fear. Eradicated. The cry intensified, but he stood firm, his mind a fortress. Turning a corner, he found the source, a makeshift nursery chamber, its doors pried open by some long-gone intruder. Inside, amidst glowing incubation pods cracked and leaking viscous fluid, lay a Zorath infant. It was small, no larger than a human toddler, its skin a shimmering iridescent blue, tentacles writhing weakly from its torso. Its large, multifaceted eyes were wide with terror, and the psionic cry emanated from it in waves, distorting the air like heat haze. Surrounding it were the corpses of adult Zorath guardians, perhaps slain by what looked like energy burns. Pirates? Rival aliens? It didn't matter. The infant's cry was a beacon, drawing danger from across the void. Elias approached slowly, his boots clanging softly on the grated floor. The cry hammered at him, evoking visions of his past, the day he froze in battle, watching his comrades fall because he couldn't pull the trigger fast enough. No, he growled through gritted teeth. He focused on his breath, on the core of strength he had built. The man who destroys his weak self. He repeated the mantra silently, a shield against the onslaught. As he drew nearer, something shifted. The infant's eyes locked onto him, its tentacles pausing in their frantic dance. The cry faltered, then softened, like a storm receding. Elias knelt, his cybernetic arm whirring as he extended it. The moment the human appeared fully in its view, the alien baby fell silent. It was as if his presence alone had quelled the chaos. The Zorith infant tilted its head, a soft coo escaping its maw, not psychic, but audible, curious. Elias felt a strange connection, a bridge between species forged in that instant. He had heard rumors of human resilience in HFY legends, tales whispered in Concord bars about how humans could endure what broke others, their stubborn will defying even psionic assaults. But this was real. The infant reached out a tentacle, brushing his glove. It was warm, pulsing with life. For the first time in years, Elias felt a spark of purpose beyond survival. But the silence was short-lived. Alarms blared through the station, proximity alerts. Ships approaching. Zoreth reinforcements? Or opportunists drawn by the cry? Elias scooped up the infant, cradling it in his organic arm while his cybernetic one held the rifle. The child didn't resist, instead, it nestled against him, its psionic field now a gentle hum, almost protective. He moved swiftly, navigating the labyrinthine halls toward his shuttle. Blasts echoed from afar, intruders breaching the outer hull. He had to get out, but not alone. Abandoning the infant would mean succumbing to weakness, and that was no longer an option. The first attackers appeared as he rounded a bulkhead, hulking figures in armored suits, their faces obscured by visors. Not Zorith, these were Krell marauders, scavengers like him but without mercy. Their weapons charged with a whine, energy bolts scorching the walls. Elias fired back, his pulse rifle barking in controlled bursts. One Krell fell, its armor cracking under the assault. The infant stirred, its hum intensifying, but not in fear, in sync with him. He felt a surge, his reflexes sharpened, as if the child's psionic energy amplified his own resolve. Ducking behind a console, he returned fire, dropping another. The Krell advanced, their leader bellowing in a guttural tongue. Elias's mind raced, he could flee, leave the child as bait. But, no. That was the weak self talking, the one he had destroyed. He charged forward, the infant secure against his chest, unleashing a barrage that felled two more. The leader lunged, its blade humming with plasma. Elias parried with his cybernetic arm, the impact jarring but holding. With a twist, he drove his rifle butt into the Krell's visor, shattering it. The marauder crumpled. Panting, he pressed on, the shuttle bay in sight. More alarms, the station's self-destruct sequence initiated, perhaps by the intruders. Time was running out. As he boarded the iron will, the infant cooed again, its eyes reflecting the stars outside the viewport. Elias strapped it into a makeshift cradle, plotting a course for the nearest neutral port. The ships outside veered away, perhaps sensing the cry's absence or deterred by his escape. As the shuttle jumped to hyperspace, Elias looked at the child. It had chosen him, or perhaps he had chosen it. In that moment, he understood, true strength wasn't in destruction alone, but in protecting what mattered. The weak self was gone, and in its place stood a guardian, unbreakable. Yet, the galaxy was vast, and this was only the beginning. Whispers of the event spread through Concord channels, a human silencing a Zorith infant, defying psionic norms. Elias knew pursuit would come, from Zorith kin seeking their lost one, from scientists eager to study the anomaly, from enemies old and new. But he was ready. The man who destroys his weak self can never be destroyed by others. With the alien baby at his side, he would forge a new path, one where humanity's fire burned brighter than any star. The hyperspace tunnel shimmered around the iron will, a kaleidoscope of blues and purples that bent light into impossible shapes. Elias monitored the consoles, his fingers dancing over holographic displays. The infant he had taken to calling it Zara, after a lost friend from his squad, rested peacefully in its cradle, its tentacles occasionally twitching in what seemed like dreams. The psionic link between them had grown subtle, a background warmth that bolstered his focus. It was as if Zara's presence filled the voids in his mind, the cracks where weakness once hid. Days blurred into weeks as they traversed neutral space, avoiding Concord patrols and pirate lanes. Elias scavenged supplies from asteroid depots, his skills honed by necessity. He taught himself Zoreth biology from salvaged data cores, learning that their infants bonded psionically with protectors, imprinting on those who showed unyielding strength. Zara had seen that in him, the moment he appeared and silenced its cry with his sheer will. But bonding came with risks. Zara's energy could overwhelm a lesser mind, driving it to madness. Elias felt the pull, temptations to relent, to rest. But he resisted, meditating in the ship's dim hold, confronting the remnants of his old self. Painful memories surfaced, the betrayal on Terra Nova, where his hesitation stemmed from fear of loss. He had loved his squad like family, and that attachment had weakened him. Now, he destroyed that attachment, not by forgetting, but by transcending it. Love without vulnerability, strength without chains. Their first real test came at the fringes of the Orion Arm, in a bustling trade hub called Nexus Prime. The station was a melting pot of species, elegant Eluri with their crystalline exoskeletons, burly Grontak traders hauling exotic wares, and shadowy informants from a dozen worlds. Elias docked under a false transponder, Zara concealed in an environmental suit modified for its form. They needed information on Zoreth movements, on why the outpost had been attacked. Disguised as a mercenary, Elias ventured into the underlevels, where deals were struck in whispers. In a dimly lit cantina, haze from vapor sticks clouding the air, he approached a contact, a sly Vexian named Lurks, its multiple eyes blinking asynchronously. "Heard you're looking for Zoreth intel," Lurks hissed, tentacles coiling around a drink. Elias nodded, sliding a credit chit across the table. Lurks leaned in. "The outpost? Raided by Krell, but on orders from higher up. Concord's got a faction wanting Zoreth Tech psionic amplifiers. That infant? Priceless. Word is, they're hunting it now." Elias's jaw tightened. So it wasn't random. As he rose to leave, Shadow stirred Concord agents, their uniforms subtle but unmistakable. A trap. Blasters drawn, they closed in. "Human, surrender the Zoreth spawn," one barked, its voice modulated. Elias's cybernetic arm whirred to life, deploying a hidden blade. The cantina erupted in chaos. He flipped a table for cover, firing precise shots that dropped two agents. Zara's psionic hum surged through him, heightening his senses. He dodged a bolt that would have ended him, countering with a lethal strike. Patrons fled or joined the fray, turning the bar into a battlefield. Elias fought like a force of nature, his movements fluid, each blow a testament to his rebuilt self. An agent lunged with a neural disruptor, he parried, twisting its arm until it snapped. Another fired from afar, he rolled, using a fallen body as shield, then hurled a grenade that scattered the rest. Lurks, opportunistic, slipped away in the melee. Elias escaped through a service duct, heart pounding but mind clear. Back on the ship, Zara greeted him with a soft glow, its eyes conveying trust. The encounter had confirmed his suspicions, they were hunted. But it had also proven his mantra. The agents had come to destroy him, they failed because he had already destroyed his weaknesses. Fleeing Nexus Prime, Elias set course for Zoreth territory, a risky gamble. If he could return Zara to its kin, perhaps negotiate peace. The journey took them through nebulous storms, where electromagnetic interference masked their trail. En route, he trained relentlessly, sparring with holographic opponents, pushing his body to limits, all while nurturing Zara. The infant grew, its tentacles strengthening, psionic abilities budding under his guidance. It mimicked his resolve, silencing its own fears. In quiet moments, Elias reflected on his transformation. The weak self, the hesitant boy from Earth, had been a cage. Breaking free meant embracing solitude, but now, with Zara, it meant something more: alliance. Approaching Zoreth space, sensors lit up a fleet in orbit around a crystalline world. Hails came immediately, demanding identification. Elias broadcasted openly, "I bear your lost one." The human who silenced its cry. Tension hung thick as boarding parties arrived. Zoreth warriors, tall and ethereal, their bodies flowing like liquid metal, escorted him to their queen. In a grand chamber adorned with pulsing orbs, Queen Veoloria regarded him. Her presence was overwhelming, a psionic aura that tested his mind. Zara, released, floated to her, but glanced back at Elias with what seemed like reluctance. You, human, Vealoria intoned, her voice echoing in his thoughts, have bonded with our progeny. How? Elias met her gaze. By destroying my weak self. I became unbreakable. Probes delved into his mind, but he held firm, sharing memories of the outpost, the rescue, the battles. Impressed, Vealoria nodded. The Concord seeks to weaponize us. You have proven humanity's worth. An alliance? It was unprecedented. HFY tales spoke of human triumphs, but this was partnership. As negotiations began, Elias felt the weight of destiny. The man who destroys his weak self. He had not only survived but elevated his kind. Yet, shadows loomed, Concord spies, Krell remnants. The true war was coming. The alliance with the Zoreth blossomed like a supernova, illuminating paths once shrouded in distrust. Elias became an emissary, bridging human tenacity with Zoreth psionics. Zara, now a juvenile, remained by his side, its bond unbreakable. Together, they faced the encroaching storm, the Concord's rogue faction, led by Admiral Corrin, a calculating Eloan with ambitions to dominate the galaxy using stolen Zoreth tech. Their first joint operation targeted a Concord black site, a fortified asteroid where psionic experiments twisted minds into weapons. Elias led a mixed team, human commandos, their grit unmatched, and Zoreth psychics, their abilities weaving illusions and shields. Infiltrating under cloaks of deception, they navigated laser grids and drone patrols. Elias's cybernetic enhancements proved invaluable, hacking terminals while Zara amplified his focus, silencing internal doubts. Deep in the core, they found horrors, captive Zoreth, their essences drained into crystalline amplifiers. Corrin's guards swarmed, energy whips cracking. Elias charged, his rifle at extension of his will. A guard swung, he dodged, countering with a precision shot. Zara projected a psionic barrier, deflecting blasts. The team freed the captives, but Corrin appeared, his form augmented with stolen tech, eyes glowing with unnatural power. Human fool, Corrin sneered, unleashing a psychic wave that felled lesser allies. Elias staggered but held, his mantra at anchor: the man who destroys his weak self can never be destroyed by others. He had faced worse in his soul's forge. Drawing on Zara's link, he pushed forward, his attacks relentless. Corrin faltered under the assault, his augmentations overloading. With a final strike, Elias shattered the Admiral's core device, ending the threat. Victory echoed through the alliance, but it was bittersweet. Losses mounted as the war escalated. Elias evolved further, integrating Zoreth implants that enhanced his resilience, blurring lines between man and alien. He trained recruits, instilling his philosophy: destroy weakness within, become invincible without. Zara, maturing, became a leader among its kind, its silence at Elias's appearance now a symbol of respect. In the climactic battle over Earth, the Concord's desperate assault fleets clashed in orbital fury. Elias commanded from the Iron Will, upgraded with Zoreth tech. Missiles streaked, shields flared. Amid the chaos, a boarding party breached, elite Concord troops, aiming to assassinate him. In the corridors, he fought hand-to-hand, each move a culmination of his journey. A trooper pinned him, Zara intervened, its psionic cry now a weapon, shattering the attacker's will. Together, they repelled the invaders. As the Concord fleet retreated, defeated, Elias stood on the bridge, gazing at the blue marble below. Humanity had proven itself, not through domination, but through unyielding self-mastery. The alien baby that fell silent at his appearance had sparked a revolution. And, in that silence, a new era dawned, one where the strong protected the vulnerable, unbreakable bonds forging galactic peace. Years passed, the alliance solidifying into a new order. Elias, now a legend, wandered the stars with Zara, mentors to the next generation. The weak self destroyed, he was eternal, a beacon for all who sought strength. The galaxy, once dismissive, now revered the human spirit. For in the moment the human appeared, not just silence fell, but empires rose. 11.9 Sexpert.